Girl, I'm in my soft guy, Eric Drizzle, Drizzle. Girl, I'm in my soft guy, Eric Drizzle, Drizzle. This guy had a major impact on my dating life. And it's this guy here. This guy's name is Doc Love, a.k.a. Thomas Hodges. He passed away in August of 2020. And back in 2002, when I was having trouble in dating, I took a semester off from school to do the theater play. And I just started looking up guys that give advice to guys on dating. And this was one of the first guys that I came across. He still has a show. Like, even though he's dead now, he had a guy that helped him on the show. And so that guy continues to put out stuff from the archives that this guy had. But he has like thousands of shows. He has a lot of videos on YouTube. And if you sign up for his news article, his newsletter, they still continue to send out like weekly newsletters of stuff that he put out in the past. And all of his newsletters were eye-openers. He has a book called The System. There are a lot of terms that are talked about in we'll call it the manosphere space, for a better lack of a term, that he came up with. A lot of the ideas that guys talk about in videos, including myself, came from this guy. So things like girls liking challenge. And he's the first one that came up with the idea of like women having interest levels, that it's not just like women switch it on and off. It starts at like 50% and then goes up to 65 and 70 and 75 and 80. Like, he came up with all that stuff. He came up with the term womanese. So when, women speaking womanese, like, that's him. This is that guy, you know? And so I started following his stuff in 2002. I got to call into his radio show back in 2008. And that was a fun little conversation. And I continued to follow him throughout the years. And he was just really great influence. So the clip I picked out for him, he talks about a thing that a lot of you guys have issue with, which is paying for meals on dates. And then he also goes into cell phone usage on a date in terms of like when a girl's using a cell phone. And this guy, in this particular clip, this guy had left a comment on Doc Love's Facebook page. And so they invited him to come onto the show to air out his grievances, because he was very much against the idea of men paying for women on dates. So you're going to see this clip, and I'll stop along the way to give my commentary. Here is Doc Love in action.
Alan from Florida had done a post on there, and Alan had suggested that, you know what, guys pay way too early. Doc, what you always say, of course, is a guy should pay early, find out if the woman is a giver or not. But Alan said right from the jump, don't do it. Guys are paying way too much. Women earn their own money. And I invited Alan on the show. We invited Alan on the show, I should say, to talk to you live about that.
Now, that's a common thing, and I hear that too, like, oh, I don't want a woman to use me for my money, and like, they're all just gold diggers, so why would I pay? So it's interesting, like, Doc Love's advice was that the guy should pay. So we're going to have this discussion between the guy that left the comment and then Doc Love, and see why he gets to where he's at.
I don't want to dump $300 into a woman and then find out that she's a selfish taker, and then I end up by dumping her and I lose all that money.
Are you saying, okay, I'm saying this, though. Why don't you go to inexpensive things?
Well, I do. For example, I always suggest Starbucks
for the first
time.
Right.
And if they don't want to go there, I say, okay, we can meet for a drink, in a restaurant.
You can tell this guy is very much nitpicky with his money. Like, okay, if you don't want to do coffee, I guess we'll meet up for a drink, but only one drink. And it's got to be happy hour, so it's got to be like a $10 special. Like, he's so freaking out. Guys, I will say this. Ideally, you're not going after gold-digging women, but also, if you can't afford to take women out, you should not be dating. That's just rule basic 101. You ain't got to take women to expensive places, but like, if you're going to grumble about like, what if she gets 2 drinks? That's like $20. Get out of the dating pool. Work on your money first and then come back.
Restaurant lounge. But then after that, they always expect dinner the next time you get together.
What do you mean the next time?
Well, okay, well, you want to
take her to Starbucks on the second date, have more coffee?
No, but my whole thing is this. What I do is I say something to them like, I believe in equality and reciprocity, and then I think both people should give to each other from the very beginning.
Now that is the, I mean, to be fair, that is very much the feminist agenda. Like, we're both equals, we should eat this and that. And that's the thing, that's an example of a thing that it sounds good to say in the moment, like, oh, women have equal rights and they want to be the same as the guy. So of course they'll have no problem paying. But do women actually like that?
And you're saying this to a complete stranger who you don't know if she likes you or not.
Well, let's put it this way. It's not working, okay? I mean,
it's not working because women don't mean that crap because it doesn't benefit them. Like, they can talk all this like, oh, we both make money and blah, 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 blah. But on those first few dates, sorry, guy, A woman wants you to prove that you're trying to work for her, just like she's trying to work for you by doing her side of things, And so you're typically not going to have women agreeing that they should also pay for their half of the date, even in this post-feminist society where women make money and women can also pay their own way, but they don't actually want to do that.
Theoretically, in my mind, it works, but it's not working in reality.
See, sorry, I keep pausing. He said it right there. He said, I have a theory that something should work, but in reality, it's not working. And this is the problem that you are probably having in your dating life, is that in terms of dealing with women, you have an idea in your head about what women should do and how they should act and how this should work, right? You need to stop shooting yourself to death, because the reality is women are going to be women, and they're going to have emotions and feelings about things, and they're going to operate on a totally different plane. And you could try to want them to work in your mind the way that they quote unquote should work. They're going to work the way that they were born to function. So you can either get with the reality of that, or like this guy, be consistently disappointed.
I look at it this way. You go out to Starbucks, it's going to cost you $8, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now you go out for, let's say, a hamburger, a beer, and you shoot pool. Okay, now you're talking about what, $18, $20?
Yeah, they don't want that. They want to go to a nice restaurant.
Hold it. You just say to her, on the next date, you can ask me out, and then we'll go to that restaurant. That's what you say. Put it back in their face. Go up to the net, knock the bowel down Serena's mouth.
See, now that I like. Okay, that's a good line.
That's
I like that.
And that's great advice for one. But also, here's the thing, right? This guy has now bought into the lie that women have to be taken to nice restaurants. Now, I say have to because, like, obviously anybody's going to want to go to a nice restaurant. Like, if you're going to go to a woman and say, hey, I'm going to take you to a nice restaurant where they have the best steak in the world, blah, blah, no woman's going to want to turn that down. That's not fair. Most women will not turn that down. The few ones that are like, what's the exchange, will be like, if he takes me to a nice restaurant that's too nice, he's going to want to hook up. And I don't know if I want that on this first date. So a lot of those women will be like, let's not do it on that end, right? But if I say he's bought into the lie that women need an ultra nice restaurant, I'm here to tell you that is not emphatically true, unless you're targeting women that just happen to be all about money. But the majority of women that I've dated, that I've been able to take out on these first and second dates, it's like pizza place, beach, walking at the park, picnic. I've done TGI Fridays. I've done PF Chang's, which is a bit nicer, but that's because I wanted to go because I was in the mood for PF Chang's. The woman that I went out with would have been fine with anything we did. She just wanted to meet up with me. Like, you don't have to go on these uber expensive dates in order to impress women, because those first few dates are supposed to be about getting to know each other, getting to see if you guys vibe well. And a lot of times for women, throwing too much money at it can be a distraction. Now, the ones that just are all about money and don't care about you, they'll take that up. If you just happen to be dating those kind of women too more than often than not, then yeah, your vision and view of what women actually need on these dates for it to work and for them to fall for you is quite skewed. Because in my personal life, that has not been a thing. I've gotten into a relationship with women where we barely did any kind of date. It was like, come to my place, hang out, have a good time, make out here and there, this and that, and then maybe we'll go to the movies. Maybe we'll go get a pretzel. Like, it ain't got to be a lot, but you have to have that game. You have to know the dating pattern that you need to put into effect in order for that to happen, which if you need to learn that, you can go to my website and click on my webinar, the 3 nice guy dating patterns that turn women off and what to do instead.
I said, on the next one, we'll go to that place after you ask me out.
The other thing, too, is sometimes I'll even say something like I'll try to take them to places where they can't run up a big bill, because sometimes they'll order 2-3 glasses of wine, and then they'll start ordering dessert and everything else. And I figure this is somebody who doesn't care about me. Otherwise, why are they trying to run up a bill?
And see, this is also why it's your job as the guy to do the due diligence of picking out a place. No more leaving these dinner decisions to women, all right? You scope out the place. So if you happen to scope out a place that has expensive steaks and has expensive alcohol, you cannot be like, I'm going to pick this place for us to go, and then be mad at her if she chooses the high end of the menu. Like, to be fair, a good woman that wants you just for you is not going to probably go to that end of the menu. But the fact is, you're picking a place that has that possibility. At that point, sorry to say, guy, it's your fault if she goes there, because you could have easily picked a place that didn't have high-end stuff on the menu. Like, for example, here in California, I like pizza. I could take a woman to like CPK, California Pizza Kitchen, and their drinks don't run that highly expensive. Like the most expensive drink they probably have is like maybe $15-16 or whatever like that. So, but you can also learn to better pace out the date to where they're not ordering 3, 4, 5 drinks. That signals a guy that is taking a woman out on dinner dates that are probably like 2 or 3 hours. If you're going to do dinner as a first date, guys, your first dinner date shouldn't be more than 45 minutes. She should not be able to drink 3 or 4 glasses of wine in a span of 45 minutes unless she's an alcoholic, in which case, not to take her out again. But suffice to say, like, you should be pacing this at a different level so that way you're able to like monitor the amount of stuff she's able to buy. Like, that's your job, Guy in the chat says, in my experience, if a woman truly wants to get to know you, she's not going to care much where you go eat. The meal ticket chicks are the ones that want treated. I do hibachi or Mexican off. Oh, hibachi is great. We have Benihana's here in California. Oh my God, I still have a birthday coupon. Shout out to Benihana's. If you sign up for their birthday club, when your birthday comes around, you can get it's basically like a buy one, get $30 meal off coupon. I use it every single year. It's fantastic. But anyway, yeah, that's the point. Yeah. Like women that want to actually get to know you for you aren't going to be hung up on the restaurant, but that's still, you're choosing to do this high end because you think you have to. And I'm telling you, you don't. And Doc Love here is saying you don't.
Good point. But then now you get rid of her. That's a third date. So you got Starbucks, which is 8. You got the pool and the beer and the hamburger. That costs you 22. And now so by the third date, you're out of here.
Yeah. Well, I guess if you look at it that way, it's not that bad.
Yeah, I don't say take her out 10 times and you're dumping $150 on dates. Now, I know a lot of rich guys do this. A lot of guys are making $150,000, $250,000. He said, what do you mean go to Starbucks and spend $8? I want to get rid of the mercenaries. I was talking.
And by the way, those guys are messing up too. Like you guys out there that have money and are rich, I get it. You see all this stuff on the internet talking about, women want a high value, high status, high making money guy. And so when you get the money, you're like, great, now I can basically buy women. Like I can take them out. I can take them where I want to take them. I'll show them this extravagant lifestyle. All you're going to do now at this point is get gold diggers. So you need to treat you being rich like the way like Mark Zuckerberg or like Bill Gates. Like if you saw them in everyday life, they have average cars, wear average clothes. Like you would not be able to tell they were a billionaire if it wasn't the fact that you knew their name, right? And so for you guys to have money when you're meeting new women, you need to stick to the same program: coffee shops, restaurants, because you want women to be like, oh my God, you want her to think you're broke because you want to see if she's there for you or there for your money. And trust me, I've gone out on dates with women that you can tell by that second or third date, they're all about the money. They're trying to get you to pay for their bills, trying to get you to buy them dresses, trying to get you to pay for the most expensive thing on the menu. Like, don't walk forth with your money, but you allow the money to make you confident enough to know, like, hey, any woman that gets with me, she has no idea she's about to be on easy street. Like, walking with that confidence, but don't actually spend all that money on those first couple of dates. Let her like figure out slowly that, you can take care of stuff.
To a guy last week, he sent me this girl's profile, and at the top, you better make $100,000 a year or don't call. You don't have anything to do with that girl.
Like, girls are saying this on their profile, and dudes are still dating them, and then being like, well, she was a gold digger. If they're telling you up front they're gold diggers, what makes you think she's not going to be a gold digger?
Once you smell that this girl wants to spend a lot of your money versus find out if you're a good guy that I could fall in love with or not, you're out of there.
And that eliminates, unfortunately, a lot of these women. We only
need one good one.
You go, Doc Love. So, yeah, this is the thing that you guys don't get, or some of you guys don't get, right? Is that you're thinking the girl in front of you, I have to make it work. I have to do all the things. I have to pay all the money. I have to get her on a good dinner meal that's over $150 because if I don't get her, oh, my God, what's going to come next? And then you say things like that guy, but so many women are going to bless themselves a lot. You only need one woman for it to work out. Like, unless you're polyamorous, you need one woman to come along and do this. So sometimes it might take you like 5 dates. It might dating 5 different people. It might take you 10. It might take you 20. And you might be thinking on each date, man, is she going to come? Like, this one was a gold digger. This one was a gold digger. This one wanted an expensive restaurant. This blah, 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 blah. You only need one. So, but that's the point also, is that if you're trying to get to the promised land of that one person, you cannot afford to keep taking every single woman on these highly expensive dates. So coffee shop here, maybe a little pizza here, this and that, but you're not trying to do like $300 dates on every single new person you meet, yeah, I'd be bummed out about dating too if I did that crap, which is why I don't do it. So learn to better budget in anticipation that inevitably the one that you need to get with is going to come, but it may take a little while.
Well,
but Alan, you got to go through 30, 40, 50 women.
I agree. The other problem is they want to bring their cell phones with them.
Let them bring the cell phones. And if she makes one call, you never take her out again. Finish the dinner, go out to the car, and say, that's it. Never take her out again. It's the rudest, crudest thing when a guy's buying you a meal to sit there and talk to your girlfriends.
By the way, the second rudest thing is a woman arriving on date after date and not being on time. And I have literally dropped women because, that first date, hey, traffic happened, this is that, it is what it is, right? I was in California for the first 4 years of my life here in California, and I did not have a car. And yet, magically, I managed to get everywhere on time, including to dates. I would catch the bus from wherever, 2 or 3 hours away. I'd be able to get there earlier than her. And yet, all these women that I was dating at the time couldn't get to the thing on time. In hindsight, maybe they had low interest. Maybe they weren't that hopeful that a guy with no car they're going to want to date him. But suffice to say, those women got dropped by me quickly, which I'm sure felt kind of weird. Like I'm the one without a car, and yet I'm dropping them because I don't find them to be qualifying enough for me. But that's the point, is that regardless of your station in life, if you walk around like that, you have to walk around as if I have abundance, and if this woman doesn't want to act right, I will find somebody else. That level of abundance will allow you to get rid of women, knowing that there's going to be another one around the corner that's going to act right and be better.
You wouldn't say something up front to them?
She's out. I'm not going to train her. She has no manners, no social skill, no consideration, no thoughtfulness, no manners, no class. I'm going to change her.
So if you sit down in Starbucks and they pull the phone out and sit it down on the table, is the date over?
Yeah, when she sets it down, I'd say, do me a favor, would you turn the ringer off, please?
And the trick I would do on dates was let's say I always get earlier to places than my dates would typically get, right? So I would sit there, I'd wait for them, and then they'd walk up, I get up, hey, nice to meet you, so-and-so, give them a hug, sit down and say, real quick, let me turn off my phone real quick because I want to make sure that I'm paying attention to this date. Hey, so what's going on? And what I would find is that if I did that, usually the next move, especially for the women that were highly interested, they'll pull out their phone and be like, let me turn mine off too, blah, blah, blah. Boom. That gets rid of me having to say later, hey, could you please not answer your phone? Hey, could you cut your phone off? Because now I look butthurt. Now I look like I'm being cranky and angsty or whatever, So I do it at the beginning. Now, at that point, if they don't do that and a call comes in later and they decide to pick it up and answer it, again, I don't make a fuss. I just take observation. And I know that from this point forward, I'm probably not going to see them again. But I can find somebody else better, so it's fine.
She says, I got to look at the phone when it rings in case it's like an emergency or one of my kids calling or something like that.
You can't find her on the kids.
Right. So she says if it's one of them, or if I think it's important or if it's work or something, I got to answer the phone.
They've rammed these cell phones down us, I tell you. And nothing's that important. There are no emergencies.
Do you tell them, listen, I don't want
you just say that. No, she says, and you go through it, and if the phone rings and you're listening to the conversation and she's talking to one of her ding-dong girlfriends, I'll never go out with her again.
You see that? Now look at that. He said basically nothing. At the end of the day, look, women are going to try to come to you and give you all kinds of reasons why they need to have the phone out. Oh, if my job calls me. Oh, but you know what they're really doing? Because I had a couple girls do this and they told me this was going down, right? Is that sometimes when women go on dates, they'll tell their friend, okay, look, I'm going on a date with this guy. I don't know how it's going to go. So around the 30-minute mark of the date, I need you to call me and say this particular word. If I say this phrase, it means that this date is going awful, and I need you to say something that's going to allow me to tell this guy it's an emergency and I can go home. If I say this other phrase, it means the date's going well and there's no need to panic. I'm having a good time, right? I've literally called women. I remember on a date with this girl one time, it was the first date, and she got a phone call midway through, looked at the phone, like, oh, just blah, 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 blah. And I literally said to her, so is that the phone call to get you out of this date if it was going bad? And she's like, yeah. See, when you know women, this becomes fun versus frustrating, But suffice to say, woman is on a date with the guy she's highly interested in, she's not going to try to get out of that date. So if she's saying, oh, she sees you and like, oh, well, I got to keep my phone up because, the kids, if you shouldn't be dating single moms in the first place, but oh, the kids might be at home, or oh, my job, this is that. understand that's probably a girl that has very low hopes for this date. At that point, still try to go through with it and just, try to be lively and be the best person you can possibly be in that moment. If the phone rings and she happens to pick it up, that's not good. And at that point, you could be like, just cut the day short. Be like, okay, great. Well, I got a really busy morning tomorrow, so let's just go ahead and get out of here. Because at that point, you're wasting your time and her time. There's no need to spend money on this chick that is using her phone. And for you guys that are like, but what if she pause? I don't care about if she gets mad, if she thinks I'm not being fair. How dare I tell her to not have her phone on? You know why I don't care? Because I took time out of my day and bought some cologne and put on some clean clothes and spent gas money to go to a restaurant to show her a good time that I'm paying for. All I'm asking her to do is show up and enjoy the ride. If she's going to disrespect me by trying to talk on the phone or text other people as if I'm not there, this date is over. And I will, again, find somebody else that will understand what I'm putting forth in this date and respect it and show her a better time instead. But you as a guy do not have time to hope that the woman's going to have a better time on this date or that she's going to get to see that I'm a really good guy and she's going to put her phone away. Like, that's not your job. Your job is to show up the best you can. If she starts being rude, you can also be like, it's not my job to end this date and go home and play some video games. Have a good time,
Combination of those two things that makes things a little bit difficult out there. But they expect men to pay. It's like they automatically assume that the man is paying.
Yeah, just take them to inexpensive places. I tell you, 2 out of 5 women that go out with you have low interest level. They just want to eat. Hey, do me a favor.
Yeah.
Just put on a happy face, let them do what they want, and never call them again.
Got it.
What you see is what you get. You're not going to train them. Oh, gee, you're right. I had the cell phone out. That's really rude and crude. I'll never do that again. Is that ever going to happen, Alan?
No.
No, not that often. Thank you for calling.
So, yeah, that was a little taste of Doc Love. But, yeah, guys, look, it's not your job to train these women, okay? Yes, if you get into a relationship, at some point, as she gets to know you, she's going to want to know your ins and outs, and she will start to learn how you are. And it's sometimes part of that process, she might realize, oh, he doesn't like when I do this thing, or I have this certain habit over here. Let me get better at this. But ultimately, guy, you take women as they are. And so if on a date, she's being rude and she's on the phone, she's ordering the most expensive thing on the menu, she's, talking crap about her ex, this and that. This woman is not going to get better just because she has a building interest in you. So don't be in the habit of trying to think you can just train women. The reality is they're going to come as they are. And so you could try to work with that and hope you're going to be better, or just be like, oh, so from date 1, she's already showing red flags and she's being rude and I shouldn't deal with this anymore. Yes. Sorry, little head down there. I thought we were going to have a good night, but you know what? This one's not worth it. We'll find somebody else. Ideally walk in the world like that and you'll do a lot better. But yeah, Doc Love has a bunch of stuff on YouTube. And again, he has a great podcast that you can go to the archives for, but definitely check his stuff out. Because again, he is the basis for the majority of the things that I talk about, that Corey Wayne talks about, that even Kevin mentioned at times. He really was that guy, Love his stuff.
You's a bad boy, but you can't stop, won't stop. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-earning, high-value, high-class man. You a high-class man. You a high-class